I just caught up with Dave Lane of Fast Lane Rod Shop. He's one of the great young builders in the country today, and we're standing in front of a great 32 that he built. Dave, tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind these kind of great cars that you make.
I'm a firm believer in these cars are beautiful, kind of the way they roll off the factory line, with just some minor tweaks and touches to try to clean things up. But I like the cars, the styling of them and everything are just so beautiful back then. And I just, really, like I said, I like to just clean them up so that the gaps are good. They have a little bit better flowing lines.
What got you started in this? Because it's a lifetime of hard work, right?
Absolutely. From as long as I can remember, I've been into cars, built tons of models when I was a little kid. Everything was always car related. And finally got to follow it to the point where I'm kind of living my dream.
You're living the dream, you're winning awards, but I'm sure there's some cars in your past. What was the very first car that you restored and that you customized?
I did a 28 Pontiac two-door sedan at the same time that I was putting myself through college and working full-time. So it was a pretty big hurdle to climb. It took me 2 years to do, 3 years to build, and I basically didn't have a tool or a bit of knowledge when I started it, and I had to learn everything, and it was really a fun process. It was some tough times, and when we were done, I couldn't wait to do it again.
Now I've got to ask, is there one car that kind of got away from you? That car that you had and you don't have anymore, but boy, you wish you had it back.
Well, there's been several. Probably the one that myself and my family love the most is I did a 59 Chevy wagon back in, I think, 2000, that I think if my boys could have that one back, they would have it back in a heartbeat, because it was a family cruiser. We put a ton of miles on it, and it was just a blast.
Well, you mentioned your boys. Tell me a little bit more about your family and how they get behind what you're doing.
Yeah, I have a wife and two boys. One's a junior in high school and one's a junior in college, and they've always been real supportive. They kind of have their own things. They've always been into cars, but I think cars aren't as special to them as they are to me, because they've grown around it from me. They always went to all the shows with me, and whereas I couldn't get enough of them as I was a kid. When I was a kid, they've been around them the whole time. So they like cars, but they like newer stuff.
Now, what would you say is the Dave Lane style? What is the style you put into your work?
Well, it's pretty distinct in the fact that I've been building mostly 32 Fords. I try to do minor things to them, and the fact that you can't tell things have been done. So it's a real traditional looking car, cleaned up a little bit, but it's not to that point of high tech. But mostly there's a ton of modifications, but you can't tell when you walk up to the car. I try to make them very subtle and more classy type look to it.
Well, thanks for talking with us. This is Dave Lane, and this is His Car Life.